Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and Marvel Snap has a new #1 deck. That is not the deck you're looking at right now. We're looking at this very specific deck from Andrevar first, and then the second deck of this video, as always, will be the thumbnail deck, the new #1 deck in Marvel Snap. We're going to even show you some alterations that have proven successful to that deck. But we're going to kick it off talking about with Andrevar's Nogamoto. This is an Agamotto free list, sort of like that old season Passler from last season that was everywhere. The decks have been working better without Agamotto right now, largely because they really want to draw some key cards. Galacta in particular and Juggernaut are both very important to winning games, while Loki has proven to be a very good card, not a requirement, but a very good card in this type of show. The power of Loki here is that the meta has sort of centered around a lot of mid-range strategies. Outside of the bullseye discard, there's not really any combo, and I guess Mr. Negative, there's not really very much combo in the meta, and thus, when you get Loki, if you can play him early, you're getting a lot of cheap cards that are very powerful, and if you have your key cards in hand, then it's very easy to Loki and just say, okay, I'll play the rest of the game on a cheaper curve. So like your opponent's playing Thanos, which is extremely popular. Check yesterday's video if you want the most popular current Thanos list. But if you're into that meta, right? Like you get all of their stuff cheaper. You don't have to deal with the stones. Everything just works out better if you play the card Loki right now. You can find the creator of this list on Twitter at twitter.com/Andrevar. He is the leader of Team FAK, one of the most prominent Marvel Snap groups. The only card you really need is Galacta, and Galacta's necessity in the meta right now is going to be an ongoing theme throughout this video. If you don't have Galacta, I think it's probably time to just get the damn card. Unless Kahori completely eats its cookies, Galacta is going to be a complete beast in almost every list in the meta. Loki can be Spider-Ham, Iceman, or Kitty Pryde. None of those are really doing the same thing as Loki. But Loki's here is just sort of a general good cards card. You can even go up to a 2 or 3 if you want to run a Kate Bishop there, or if you felt like throwing a Red Guardian or something in. Gorgon, Sam, and Iron Patriot are again good stuff cards. In particular, Gorgon is here because of all the Thanos suddenly all over the meta. Gorgon gives you a really positive matchup into that. If they don't see or run Mobius, it's a free win in a lot of cases. Sam and Iron Patriot are incredibly strong. Sam is a ton of power. Iron Patriot is a snap condition. We'll talk about that when we go card by card momentarily. If you don't have these cards, Cable, Mirage, Warlock, and Lizard are all acceptable replacements. Warlock is in particular very good with Loki. Copycat, Rock and Groot. We're looking Elsa, Negasonic, Mobius. Generally speaking, there aren't that many really great threes. What this list is trying to do, Red Guardian's fine here too. What this list is trying to do is just run the best threes possible, thus Copycat, Rocket Groot. In the mid-range meta, basically when Loki is good, Copycat should be good because they're both trying to steal the same kind of card, right? Copycat's trying to get your opponent Shang-Chi, your opponent's Galacta, so on and so forth, right? Loki wants those cards cheaper. So when one card is good, the other very often is going to be. Well, Rocket and Groot is basically always going to be good. Unless Luke comes absolutely everywhere, Rocket and Groot's moving power, basically a vision on the board, is just crazy strong. Elsa, Negasonic, Mobius are fine replacements here. Mobius gives you some play into some other decks that can give you a hard time, while Negasonic is a good counter. Gwenpool can be Captain or Ms. Marvel. That's going to be our standard Gwenpool replacement. In a day, the Gwenpool replacement becomes Kahori, as we are going to have to figure out which of those two cards we want to run. I think it's possible we want to run Gwenpool, Kahori, and Galacta in some lists, but as we've seen when we try to do that with our friend Captain Carter, that can make the deck a little clunky. We do have a version of that works later this video, though. All right. So Loki is here because in a mid-range meta, getting their cards but cheaper is incredibly strong. That's basically it. Once in a while, you're going to Loki, realize what you're hitting is terrible, and have to run, but Loki can be a snap condition. It also lets you hold cards, skip turns. You can play Loki, and then you have such cheap stuff fairly often that you can just sort of wait to go over the top of opponents. Any deck that runs 4 cost and tops out at 4 cost wants Zabu. Zabu is especially important here because A, getting Galacta and Gwenpool on 3 are extremely strong, but B, a last turn of either Shang or Enchantress along with Juggernaut is it can feel like an auto win, and it's an auto cube heavy win because opponents generally don't play around a tech card and Juggernaut, right? Like a Shang, Enchantress, and Juggernaut. So that should be an extremely strong play. Gorgon is here, again, largely for Thanos, but there's enough Kate Bishop in the meta. There's enough General Arisham just floating around that Gorgon is just a nice card. You're fine with sort of whatever generic good 2-drop you can find here. Don't overthink it. Iron Patriot remains really powerful in this type of list. He is incredibly strong in that, like, he's not as good as he was, right? But he can still be a snap condition, and as long as that remains the case, he's gonna stay in these lists. He's a 2/3. If you win his location, you can fundamentally snap. Unless your opponent has a Mobius, obviously, you can snap because your opponent will not know what you have, and it leaves them too much different stuff to play around, which is obviously crazy strong. Sam is a 2/8. This is less useful as Sam Wilson. Sorry, this version of Sam Wilson is less useful than he is in the Agamotto version because the Agamotto version can take advantage of images of icon, but a 2/8 is just too much stats to really overlook. In fact, he is the most, like, if you play him on turn 2, he is the most standard points in the deck, although Rocket and Groot can also get bigger. Juggernaut here has two roles. Obviously, at the end of the game, the always Juggernaut role. But if you get something good enough with Iron Patriot and you need to make sure that you win it, Juggernaut to follow up is a really great way to do that. Rocket and Groot is, however, your standard turn 3 play. You would really like to get priority. You have ones and twos, so and Sam Shield, so you have a reasonably good shot at priority. Rocket and Groot's great no matter what, but it would especially good with priority because you will very often know where the opponent's going to play on turn 3 because now you've seen their locations and how their board's developed. Rocket and Groot is, again, very often playing as like a 3/7 at least, and often a 3/9, 3/11. That's insane power from a moving card. This is vision for 3. Copycat is good for the same reasons Loki is. You want to copy powerful cards. Shang-Chi, power must be controlled. Enchantress, ongoings must go away. Galacta is how you make this kind of cheap deck work. That's why she's so important. That's why she's the best card in the game. Or, like, I guess not the best card in the game, right? Like, Sam and Scream, I think, are better. She's probably the third best card in the game. But she's, I think, one of the most irreplaceable cards in generic good decks because there's nothing else that comes close to doing what she does. There's nothing else that's even on the same, like, general playing field as far as getting that Galacta power. Gwenpool is sort of your backup Galacta here, nearly as good on turn 3, but the problem with Gwenpool in this type of list is it very often will hit cards and decks you don't really want it to. If it hits something you don't want it to, unfortunately, then that is a wasted 2 power, which is going to limit her. That's why I think she might end up being Kahori, and we might end up running like Kate Bishop in this style of list. But for the time being, she is the best we've got as far as backup Galacta goes, as far as getting that extra power to make our low-cost cards game winners. Right now, Andrevar is rank 82, playing largely this list. He also took this list to infinite with a 65% win rate as the only deck he played. Turn 1, you want Loki if especially if your opponent has any extra cards in deck, but at this point with this meta, I'm fairly often just chucking Loki. If I have all my 4s in deck though, or a weaker hand, I will often just Zabu. Turn 2, Iron Patriot if a win, or Gorgon if they have extra cards, obviously, are both snap conditions, and that's better than Sam. Other, if you think Iron Patriot won't win, or Gorgon isn't readily apparently doing something, just play Sam. Turn 3, Galacta or Gwenpool are snap conditions. Green means conditional snap, by the way. White means almost always snap. Rocket and Groot is better than a 2/1. Copycat is fine, but like it's hard to put Copycat into a turn by turn because it could be literally any card. And Juggernaut is fine if the Iron Patriot card is great. If you play Iron Patriot and you need to win that location, Juggernaut is insane. Turn 4, you want Galacta over Gwenpool. So Galacta is, again, your big power card. It's so important. Gwenpool is likewise great. If your hand is like super tiny for whatever reason, you can play Gwenpool into Galacta, but generally speaking, you'd rather just go Galacta and get it out of the way. Turn 5, other of Galacta and Gwenpool, or you can play your first control card. This is against that Red Skull deck that's everywhere, a really, really good Shang turn, for example. But you don't have to do that, and then you end the game with Shang and Enchantress. That is your working goal. One last look at this list. Please do give it a try. Again, I think this is the standard. We're going to look at different versions of this as we go forward. Before we go on to the number 1 deck, please hit that sub button if you're willing. We get you the best decks in Marvel Snap without that like no one else can give to you. We have the best decks before anyone else. Hit that sub button if you always want to stay ahead of the meta and be up on what the best things to do in Marvel Snap are. We are also giving away a season pass this week, a Captain Carter this week. We gave away 5 of this card last week. We actually have a bonus one to give away. We gave away one on stream today. We are going crazy with the season pass giveaway, so if you're looking for Captain Carter, make sure you sub, like, and then later this video, I'll tell you what comment to leave in order to enter to win a season pass. This is the number 1 deck in Marvel Snap. Yeah, I know, right? Zunes came back to Marvel Snap and hasn't played in quite a while. Zunes is the 16-year-old player on the Asia server. He was number 1 back when he was 14. not this past December, the December before. He's now 16 and currently number one on the Infinite leaderboard. He was, I believe, number one like last July also with a totally different deck. So he plays when he's off from school, basically, when he's off from school and has enough time to really go off and go about things. So that's his general play pattern. He's back now. He's played this list and he's dominating number one, up like 300 snap points on number two, Derek, already. He doesn't buy the season pass. Last I heard from him, and we speak once in a while, he's free to play. So he gets the season passes with resources after they're out of the cache, which means that he's not playing any new cards. In fact, I'm pretty sure the newest card in this deck is Agent Venom, which came out last September, which is October, November, December, January, February, March. Somehow already 6 months ago. You can argue it's 8 months ago. I don't really care. But you get the idea. This list still rocks. I've been telling you, Burrs has been playing this to the top 10 for quite a while, but Burrs is busy right now studying for something. So this list is absolutely insane and a top deck in Marvel Snap. You can find Zuns on Twitter at twitter.com/Zuns0122. This deck only really needs Thena, now that Havoc is a Series 3 card. Nico can be Adam Warlock. Nico is obviously better. That's why she's here. I'll go over Nico's power when we do card by card. US Agent can be Gorgon or Quake. We're actually going to look at a different version that does run Gorgon. I'm curious how like a Quake or Scarlet Witch could work here. From there, we go Sage is better, can be Wolfsbane or Juggernaut. Juggernaut is in some versions of this, but Sage is perfectly fine. Sage is a lot more power, sorry, but Wolfsbane gets really, really big when combined with Vast or combined with Agent Venom. And then Red Guardian, Cassandra overlooking Super Skrull, Mobius, and Juggernaut as potential replacements. Shuri Enjoyer has been playing this list as well at a high level. We'll take a look at Shuri Enjoyer's rank momentarily. This list just cuts Red Guardian. I don't know if Shuri Enjoyer owns Red Guardian or not, and instead runs Super Skrull for this ongoing heavy week. There is a ton of ongoing this week, and thus Super Skrull is a really great replacement for the list. Our friend Racco, Philly to many in the community, who does all of the wonderful shorts on the channel, has been rocking in tournaments using this list, a slightly altered version, throwing Gorgon in over US Agent because Thanos is everywhere, and then using Juggernaut over Red Guardian to steal lanes at the end. So we're seeing multiple versions of this list all over the top of the Infinite leaderboard, as there is this heavy mid-range meta. Being able to say, okay, I can go under you and then like grow above you is an incredibly powerful place to be. Now let's go card by card for the Zunes list. So the first key thing to know about this list is the hood is never played as a -3, unless you have like a location that's going to make it have 2 power, or a location that's going to put it on the opponent's side, whatever. You are playing the hood specifically when it is a 1/3 through either Bast or Agent Venom. Thus, you are going to hold Bast or Agent Venom to do your very, very best to ensure that you have hood in hand. Good. So like if you can play Agent Venom, you can play Bast without hood in hand if you're going to be able to Agent Venom to get the rest of the deck, and then when you draw hood, he'll be better. But generally speaking, you want to hold Bast until hood is in hand if you cannot guarantee that Agent Venom. That 1/6 is very valuable, especially at the end of the game, especially because sometimes you're stuck on 4 energy. Being able to Sage and Demon at the end of the game, though, is incredibly, incredibly strong. From there, we are going to go with Bast. Bast hits Hood. That is a 6 power swing. It hits Kitty sometimes. That's fine. Hitting Thena for 3, Havoc for 3, Sage for 3, and Cassandra Nova for 3 are the big deals here. You're looking ideally to hit one of the zeros, or sorry, 2 of the zeros, and Hood with Bast. That's your goal. Kitty is your enabler here. She enables you to hit Thena whenever you want, and she just gets reasonably big. She's a good, powerful card and a nice enabler. Fairly often at the end of the game, she's going to end up being in hand, but once she costs 3, don't not play her just to get the Thena trigger, because now that 3 power she gives you is the same 3 power Thena would give you. Nico has multiple incredible spells. We see the Hood and Bast here. Being able to blow them up to draw 2 or turn them into demons is incredible, but that's not her best use here. Sorry, being able to change locations is pretty damn good too. Her best spell here is almost always copy. Being able to copy a Cassandra Nova or a Sage, they copy after their buff, which is crazy strong. Havoc is almost always at least a 2/8 here. So you can play him as a 2/8 if you play him on turn 5. If you play him on turn 4, you're getting 2/12 in power. You're going to have to know enough of the deck. It takes some practice to learn which turn you're going to try and do him. He is not, generally speaking, a very good target for Nico's extra spells unless it's the +2. Athena is very big. Try and trigger her as much as you can, but then don't worry about it on the last turn if anything you're playing has 3 power. But Athena often gets more than big enough to really be a huge threat and a lane winner all by herself. US Agent has obviously all the generally powerful and useful uses that he's always had, but right now he's also got an extra added bonus of really, really messing up Captain Carter as people test the new Season Pass card. She's 3 power. US Agent says -3 power. Now she's giving nothing to opponents. It's great. Nothing in the deck is hurt by Agent Venom. Everything is made better. 3 power is a lot. That's Athena trigger. Again, hitting the hood is a 6 power swing, and his 5 power is pretty nice. I very, very rarely hit Agent Venom with Bast. I would much rather pass turn 1 Agent Venom on turn 2, and then do something like Bast and Athena on turn 3. But, there's many uses here. Cassandra Nova is enough to fundamentally single-handedly give you a positive matchup into the Arishem or Thanos match. Well, it's also absolutely incredible to copy and give -2 to the whole deck. And it's also just a generally well-statted card. Sage is one of your closers. It's either a copy with Nico or one of your closing plays. Cosmo is here to ruin your opponent's combos. Generally speaking, you will fairly often be able to claim priority when you want to going into the end of the game. If you think your opponent's going to Shadow King, they're going to Surf, or they're going to try X, Y, or Z nonsense, Cosmo can win that lane. And then, of course, Red Guardian is your Iron Man, your other nonsense answer. If you're worried about many cards, Red Guardian just says, you left that Galact alone. Let's not worry about that. That's not a problem. Red Guardian gives you play into basically everything. All right, so this is the rank 1 players deck. The rank 27 players deck, that would be Sherry Enjoyer. And then we've got, it's rank 218, which is Philly, Racco's current rank, but he's also won multiple tournaments with this. Turn 1, you want Kitty. You will Bast of Hood plus at least 1 or 2 other targets, 1 or 2 other zeros. Turn 2, Agent Venom is better than Bast, which is more or less equal to Athena, which is better than US Agent. Turn 3, you want Athena and, a 1 in Athena, or you can drop Cass. If you are not buffing things at this point, it's a decent play to just get Cass out at this point, unless you already have Athena. Turn 4 is generally when I would like to play Cass in a 1-drop. You can also, if you're running short on power, go Havoc in a 2-drop. Havoc is a lane winner, seriously insane power when played on turn 4, especially if he was hit by Bast or Agent Venom, which is going to take that 8 power and turn it into 11, that 12 power and turn it into 15. That is Shang proof, by the way, because that buff happens at the end of the last turn, unless they have like Invisible Woman for it. Then we have Sage or Red Guardian plus a 1 or 2, and then turn 6 Sage, Red Guardian, or Cosmo and a 1 or 2. And that's it. You throw Nico in as she fits. You drop Kitty whenever you have an extra energy, and then this list wins. Cool. A reminder: Nico's draw 2 or on Bast or Hood. Same thing for Demon. You can also Demon other things, but those are your general goals in this. Venom, you will also, draw 2 off of the Venom. You're perfectly fine to do that. You're drawing 2 3-power cards, which is really nice. And then you will play copy on either Sage or Cass, and those are your real big wins. That's your actual goal here. This is, right now, the #1 list of Marvel Snap. Everyone sleeps on it. Everyone forgot about it. This one is off the chain strong. Hey, I'm taking tonight off streaming, but I should be live tomorrow to test the new card Kahori. So make sure that you're around 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then around 3 p.m. on Thursday if you'd like to see some Marvel Snap streaming. Please do come check it out. If we get to 200, we're doing a giveaway. So as long as we have 200 viewers on stream, we're doing a giveaway. Season Pass question. You'd like to win a Season Pass? First, nice and simple. How was your weekend? If you're curious who won last week's Season Passes, check yesterday's second video. It's about my Infinite run. It's the decks I used in order to hit Infinite in top 200 in Marvel Snap. Next up, we have Safety Blades Flex Tape. I told you we'd be doing more things with Galacta. I wanted to show you sort of what Captain Carter is doing and what a successful Captain Carter deck looks like, because it is the Season Pass card. A lot of people are telling you it's bad. I don't think Captain Carter is bad. I just don't think it's absolutely incredible. It's a credible card that's not necessarily going to be good enough to keep a lot of long-term homes. It's possible Kahori really takes this up a level, and I reserve the right to come back to that later, but right now Captain Carter is a good, if not great card. This is an excellent home for her. You do want some extra energy buffs. You want some things to do to really help if you're going to run her. In this list, we run Zabu, and then we run Kitty Hope as a way to make sure we have enough energy to really take advantage of these plays. Your Captain Carter here is fairly often going to be your last turn play after being hit by a Galacta or Gwenpool. If you've got like, if you can play her and a card behind her, a lane can suddenly get like 10 to 15 power in it with very, very little notice, which is obviously going to be huge. The creator of this list is the Great Safety Blade. You can find safety at twitch.tv/safetyblade. This deck needs both Galacta and Elsa. Hopefully you have Elsa. She's not only Series 4, she was given to everyone during this holiday season last December 25th or 6th, I believe, specifically. So if you were playing at that point, hopefully you got her. Jeff can be Nightcrawler. You want to move her in that spot. Sam and Iron Patriot can be Juggernaut, Quake, or Cable. Rocket and Groot can be Nocturne. Again, you need a mover here. Hope can be Luna or Fastos. Gwenpool and Carter can be Shang, Captain, or Ms. Marvel. You can also try like a Vision or Legion or Cannonball as you so choose. All right. So Kitty is here largely as a way to fill and unfill lanes as best you can. Kitty with Elsa and Hope is incredibly powerful because you can keep buffing different cards. You can play, if you've got 2 open spots there, you can play Kitty in one spot and then like Jeff in the other one, right? Jeff's now got a buff and then you can replay Kitty the next turn. And if you've got Galacta, now Kitty is getting buffed by Galacta and gets really huge and scary. Very powerful and useful card. Zabu is here because you're running 3/4 drops and you would like any of them to happen on turn 3, although Captain Carter is the least useful early play. She is, however, very powerful on turn 6 if she costs 3. Iron Patriot remains the same as last we spoke about, a potential snap condition. Jeff is here because it works fairly similarly to Kitty, as it is a card that can go on Hope for extra energy, Elsa for extra power, and then move right off. The other real benefit of running Jeff in this list, or movers in general in this list, is they can help make sure Captain Carter ends up in the front row as required. Sam also helps Captain Carter end up in the front row and helps fill lanes for Elsa, which is a thing she cares about. Lanes being mobile and filled is one of Elsa's primary purposes, and Sam does a wonderful job at that. Outside of that, 2/8. Rocket and Groot is super strong. I don't know what else to say. It answers a lot of the meta right now. Opponents are trying to leave lanes small early to really like pop power late, which leaves you really good Red Guardian targets all over the game. From there, we have Rocket and Groot, one of the best cards in the game. Does the same thing as Jeff here, being able to fill and move, which obviously has extra value here, given the Elsa, Hope, and how good Rocket and Groot is. Elsa's a power spike. Elsa and Hope or why you run Jeff, Rocket, and Kitty together. They give you a little package for extra power with Elsa and extra energy. That extra energy has a massive, massive amount of extra use at the end of the game as you're trying to play a bunch of 4s together with other stuff. What you'd really like to do is you'd like to go something like Hope into Galacta, and if you go Hope into Galacta, now you have an extra energy, and you can do like a Captain Carter plus a 2 or a Gwenpool plus a 2, and that's very strong. Captain Carter is your late game power spike. She is again meant to be played on the last turn as a way to turn your little cards into real threats. That's fundamentally what this deck is trying to do. That is what the meta is largely. It is either play like a Moon Girl double up deck, right? Like we have the Moon Girl double up deck. We have the She-Hulk double up deck. Sorry, the Moon Hulk double up deck is the She-Hulk double. Excuse me. We have the Moon Girl She-Hulk double up deck. We have the Ajax High Evolutionary Abomination deck that's like just trying to do that. And we have the Mysterio Mockingbird Sasquatch deck. So all 3 of these decks are just trying to do like silly combos and are sort of shut down by MOBAs. We have those decks, and then we have decks that are trying to use low power scalers to win games. That's fundamentally what the high majority of the meta is right now, outside of like Bullseye and Scream. So just keep that in mind. So what Captain Carter is it's a card that with Galacta and Gwenpool allows you to do that big surprise scaling thing and win a bunch of cubes. So rank 54 is Safety's current rank, playing this list. Turn 1, you want Zabu over Kitty. Turn 2, you will still play Zabu if you have 4s in deck, over Iron Patriot, who remains a potential snap condition, over Sam, over Jeff. Galacta or Gwenpool on 3 are snap conditions. Those are better than Hope, but Hope is incredibly strong. Feel free, however, to go Galacta first, and then Hope and Kitty, Hope and Zabu, or I guess you would have to play Zabu, and then Hope and Kitty on 4, that's fine. Or you can play Elsa, and that's better than Rocket and Groot as a general rule. Turn 4, you want Galacta over Gwenpool over Agent Carter, and the Agent Card is more or less equal to a 3+1. The more I played this, since I wrote this, I would prefer the 3+1. 5 is a 4+1 or 2, and then turn 6 is play all the buff stuff. Reminder that this is generally speaking when you're going to try and get Captain Carter down. Props to Safety for coming up with a really cool way to play Captain Carter. Again, I do think the Galacta style decks are her best home, not the ongoing ones. Hey, if you'd like to see some gameplay from these decks, today is Monday, so the great Gregor will be on at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check him out. Hopefully, Obi is back soon. We miss him much, and Prashan will be live tomorrow with some games. So I'm taking tonight off. Don't forget, I will be back tomorrow to test the new card, and obviously, I'll have a video for you tomorrow too. All right, our last deck of the day. Oh my gosh, it's a Galactic Gwenpool deck. I'm telling you, this is the meta. It is a Galactic Gwenpool. This is from Zenade, who was number 11 on the Infinite Leaderboard last season. He's got this like really cool sort of mid-range version of the Sauron deck. There is a more successful, consistent version. Apparently, that version was created by our friend Alexander Isaac, and we didn't realize it. So, congratulations to Alex for creating that cool list. It was in the top 10 decks video that we released on Friday, and that version is also in the Thursday video. So if you're interested, check that out. Zenade is the creator of this one. It needs Galacta and Starbrand. Gwenpool can be Captain Marvel. Hope can be Phastos or Luna. Those are the standard replacements here. Legion can be She-Hulk or another 410. And Frigga can be Nico or Juggernaut. So Zabu is here. You'll never guess. You're only running 2 4s here, but getting them out on 3 is still relatively huge. And it also opens up potential Frigga play patterns. If you can get a Galacta or Gwenpool out, and then you can Frigga them, you're going to town. You don't want to do that 4 into 5, but doing that 3 into 4 is amazing. Zero is here literally as your backup Sauron. It has 2 targets here. Ebony Maw and Starbrand are really all you're using it for. If you're not seeing Sauron, just hold 0. Or you can do the 0 Ebony Maw on turn 2, I guess. Sauron is huge here. It works for Ebony Maw, Lizard, and Starbrand. Just having access to a 3/10 makes it more than worth it. Lizard is a 2/6. You are fairly often going to lose the Lizard if you don't do anything else with it, but it does tell you where your opponents are going to play, which lets you do some really, really cool and cruel things with cards like Legion. Frigga is largely trying to hit a canceled out Ebony Maw here, but you're also happy to hit Galactic, Gwenpool, or even Starbrand as long as they're silenced. Hope gives you extra energy to do a bunch of shenanigans here. Obviously, that is her play pattern. Having extra energy, again, for Galactic Gwenpool is often huge. Gladiator and Starbrand are the 2 biggest 3s in the game, so you run them just to be able to have the stats to just punch people in the face. They're already threats, but they're made even bigger threats with Galactic and Gwenpool. We've talked about Galactic and Gwenpool in every freaking deck, and then Legion is your 1 tech scam card. It says, maybe I can pull this off, and then it lets you do so. So turn 1, you want Zabu. Turn 2, you want Sauron over Zabu over 0 Maw or 0 for Starbrand, and that's better than Lizard. Turn 3 is Sauron and a 1, is better than Galactic and Gwenpool. Yes, Sauron and a 1 is that important. Is better than Starbrand or Gladiator, better than Frigga for 0. Turn 4, Galactic Gwenpool is better than Frigga plus 1. Ideally, that obviously being Ebony Maw. Turn 5, Legion or start buffing your cards. And then turn 6, whatever combination of Gladiator, Starbrand, Maw, and Lizard you need to go over the top. Props to Zenade, the king of Sauron builds, apparently. This one's really cool. All right, questions of the day. Our first, 2 Ties asks how to handle keys until the new system. And I think this is fairly simple. If you're going to get 2 new cards that you want, obviously only ever open with 4 keys in any circumstance, right? If you're going to get 2 new cards that you want, then you should use keys. If there's only 1 card and you can use tokens, use tokens. If there's only 1 card you want and you have the keys and you don't have the tokens, it's probably best to skip for now, but I can see you having too much FOMO to do so. Drive Start asks if we'll get cards that change, not locations, change placement at locations. Like, we know that now we have a card that cares about being in the front in Captain Carter, and we're going to get Dum Dum Dugan, who cares about being in the back. So what do we do with that? Are we going to get cards that rearrange that? And we sort of already have that. That's what movers do. So I would be surprised if we didn't get some cards that affect that, but I also already think we have that. We just don't realize it. We don't think of them that way because it's not a thing that mattered with them until fairly recently. One day I'll remember to delete that. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to a whole bunch of patrons now. First, Fat Nick, patron of the month. Abigail Gieslin, Men Turburnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., Iron Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, King of Questions, Kertix Lee, Koi Ray, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, who's probably back on the road, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Philly, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Express Fee and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Sup Jess, Mr. Slush, Death, King of Bros, Bro, the Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hoda, Luna, Chris Clam, Colonel Foreman, Bricks, 2Click, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry with special guest Matt V. Real Name Town is huge. Brad Wrench, Corwin, John Q, and Jim McHugh, Yes Out, Eighth Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reels, Cactus, what's up, Cactus? BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decision Show, Mod Supreme Models, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Long, Spectrumix, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, my throat hurts, No Flex, Nick, Doug, Greek Geek, what's up, Nicky? Zodrex, the King of Canada, 10-Man Falcon, Fothler Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties. Hey, Two Ties, we just got a question from you. The Great Lord Evans, the Pirate King Tucker, whose toes are okay. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for I'll be in your alliance tomorrow, Gunny. Don't forget to check back for some great videos, and I'll see you all in them. Peace.